Hey everyone, welcome to Plants and Politics. So I have the weekly unemployment update for you. Unfortunately, unemployment claims began to tick up again last week. As of the week ending November 14th, the Labor Department recorded 742,000 newly filed claims under the Standard Unemployment Benefits Program, and an additional 320,237 Americans filed under the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance Program, which is the fund I mention every week that's created for non-traditional employees such as self-employed and gig workers and so forth. On top of those figures, 2,555 federal employees and 899 newly discharged veterans also filed for unemployment last week. So once again, we had over 1 million Americans filing for unemployment for the first time in 1 week. There's also 20,319,615 U.S. citizens who were receiving some form of ongoing unemployment assistance as of the week ending October 31st. And again, as I've mentioned before, that figure is always a couple of weeks behind. And, as I always remind everyone too, these numbers don't include the Americans who are underemployed, who are working part-time, but they really need full-time for their family, or the many who have just stopped searching and are no longer even considered to be part of the workforce, so they're not included in these numbers. Now, here's the most terrifying part of the story. I mean, that was all not great, but 12 million Americans are going to lose what little unemployment assistance they've been receiving the day after Christmas if our government doesn't act. So on December 26th, both the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance Program, that one for self-employed people and people like that, as well as the Pandemic Emergency Unemployment Compensation, which is basically the additional unemployment that people have been receiving. Those two programs will end unless steps are taken to extend these benefits. And just 2 weeks after that, at the end of 2020, the rent moratorium and mortgage forbearance programs will also expire. That's going to leave about 30 million Americans, 30 million struggling families on the verge of eviction and foreclosure. And the political games being played in DC are not only unconscionable, but they're untenable. And there doesn't seem to be any sense of urgency by either side. It's unbelievable. And now that the election is over, Trump is all consumed with his bogus legal challenges. He hasn't even mentioned the raging pandemic. We've been hitting new highs every single day. He doesn't even give a damn. He hasn't mentioned it. But on top of that, he hasn't mentioned aid for any of these families who are literally facing ruin. Not that he ever gave a damn to begin with, but now his true colors are on full display. Now there's no immediate reward for him to pretend that he cares about unemployed Americans. At least before the election, he had to put on the facade. He had to put on the show to pretend that he actually gave a damn. And McConnell and the Republicans, they had no appetite to provide help to the people even before the election. They have less incentive now because they want Joe Biden to fail. They're going to take no prisoners to make sure that he succeeds at nothing, including, if they have to, letting children starve. McConnell said he wants to see another stimulus deal passed before the end of the year, but the anemic bill that the Republicans are pushing does nothing to help unemployed Americans. They're like the mean girls. They're still trying to make fetch happen. Right? Republicans are trying to legitimize the failed notion of trickle-down economics. It's not going to happen.
Stop trying to make fetch happen. It's not going to happen.
They keep trying to pretend that if they just put money in the hands of businesses, Somehow it's going to help everybody else. Their bill literally does nothing. There's no stimulus money for Americans. Their bill strictly puts money in the hands of businesses because they have this disproven belief that Americans are just too lazy. And that if you cut off their unemployment benefits, well, then all those lazy asses will get back to work. They also mistakenly believe, even though it's been proven decade after decade that it's wrong thinking, they just still believe that if you put money in the hands of their overlord employers, they'll do the right thing. They're going to bring back all of their laid off and furloughed employees. They're not going to use it to pay their executives exorbitant bonuses, right? They're not going to use it to buy another vacation home. They're not going to use it to fund golden retirement parachutes. And I'm not going to put this all off on Republicans because Nancy Pelosi screwed the pooch on this one. She refused to accept that $1.8 trillion bill offered by Steve Mnuchin prior to the election. And yes, I know, I get that it probably would have never passed in the Senate. I think it would have if Trump would have pressured them, if Trump would have told, because it was in his best interest too, to do it before the election. If Trump had pressured them and said, if you don't stand behind me on this, if you guys don't vote for this stimulus bill to help me win re-election, I am going to help all of your primary challengers, and I will find primary challengers to take you out of your seats. But he didn't do that. And Nancy Pelosi didn't do anything either. She played politics with the whole thing. And now it appears likely Republicans are going to remain in control of the Senate. So it's unlikely House Democrats they'll pass the stimulus bill in the House. But they're not going to get anything anywhere near that size moving forward to get through the Republican-held Senate. So Pelosi's political games most likely cost Democrats some House seats and control of the Senate, and now terrified Americans who have no hope are going to pay the ultimate price. And this has devastating and seriously life-threatening consequences. There was someone who was interviewed this morning, and I apologize, I forget his name, but he was on the Hill news outlet. And he was saying that a woman reached out to him and told him that she's desperate, that she's contemplating suicide because she doesn't know how much longer she can hold out because the financial pressure is so extreme. And she doesn't know what to do. And she was asking him if he thought there might be a new stimulus package coming. It's unreal that these ghouls on both sides of the aisle are willing to gamble with people's lives, people's livelihoods, their futures, and they're doing nothing. They're playing politics while Donald Trump runs around the country trying to steal the election for a country that he clearly doesn't care to govern, for people that he wants to lord over, but he clearly doesn't give a shit about. This is all about him staying out of prison. This has nothing to do with him wanting to remain in office and help the people of this country. And as far as the people in the House and the Senate go, with a few exceptions of more populist, progressive candidates, none of them give a damn. None of them seem to care. It's sickening. These people make me sick. Primary, every last goddamn one of them. That's what I say. They all need to go. All right, guys. As always, like, share, subscribe. Thank you so much for watching and listening. I'll talk to you soon. Take care. Thanks for listening to Plants and Politics. The only way we can take our country and power back is to spread the truth and build an army. So remember to like, follow, subscribe, and share on Facebook, YouTube, and wherever you listen to your podcasts. Thanks again.